All right. So this week I was thinking we might sort of make this a bit interactive because advanced roadmaps is something that I haven't really played with a whole lot before. So I was sort of trying to think, okay, what's a scenario that we could build up together? So let's imagine that we are LG Chem. I don't know if any of you got to see the message before. Sorry, that was pretty late notice. So let's imagine that we are LG Chem, and we've got batteries, like house batteries that we manufacture, and micro inverters for fitting on solar panels as well. We've got our solar panels that we build, and we want to do an overarching campaign, I suppose, to launch a package deal for all these things. Now, the reason I picked LG, when I was working at Energy Australia, for a start, I didn't really know anything much about solar, and so I was thinking, well, who's good and who's not and all that sort of stuff. And I was really impressed with LG. You know, they've got 25-year warranty. I'm not being sponsored by LG, by the way, but they've got really good warranties on their products and stuff. And I like LG as a brand. So that's the only reason why. And I just thought, well, okay, if we can sort of tie in a couple of concepts and think about from a Ignacio, disclaimer.
Sorry, no, disclaimer. Just a sorry sidebar. A little, I learned once. LG used to be known as Lucky Gold Star. That was the
Oh,
Lucky Gold.
really?
Yeah, Lucky Gold Star. That's what LG. And so Lucky Gold Star is a bit too clunky and a bit corny. So now in the 21st, 20th, 21st century, they're known as LG. That's
Oh, there you
magic.
go.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's
So
the
it's
old
not.
Lucky Gold Star
Oh, there
company.
you
Yeah.
go. So it's not life's good. I always wondered what LG actually stood for. And I've just realized I'm not sharing a screen yet, so let me do that. Sorry, a little bit disorganized today. Okay, can you see my screen now? Awesome. No worries.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got these different projects under, and this is because we're using advanced roadmaps. This is in my Integrity Works Jira instance. So we've got LG batteries. We've got a board there. And I've got I've got an initiative that's showing in my backlog. I've created a sprint. I might pull this initiative out of the sprint. And I've got some stories in there, and we'll go through those in a sec. LG inverters, I've got an empty sprint and just a couple of things in there, no epics yet. LG panels, I haven't got anything in there yet, so I'm going to need some help creating some epics and stories. And my LG solutions board, I've got some different epics there. I've got 25-year warranty, package deal, marketing material, and a business case epic as well. Then we've got our advanced roadmap plan here. So I've got some initiatives, high level, so the parents of epics here. So under now let's see, LGB, that's going to be LG batteries. So I've got Ingenious New Battery Initiative. LGI, that's our inverters project. So I've got a micro inverter launch. LGI, now I've got a problem there, 450 watt panel prototype. So that really should be under the LGP project. So I'm just going to move that one because I put it in the wrong spot. So LGI, that should be under LGP. So let me move that one because we remember how to move, don't we? So we can move from LG inverters across to LG panels. And I'm going to leave it as an initiative. So I click next. And it's just asking me to confirm. So I'm going to go next again and confirm. All right, if I reload my screen here, my plan should now have LGP. Okay, so I've got 450 watt panel prototype. That's my initiative for panels. And my LG package combo is my LG solutions initiative. So on advanced roadmaps, yeah.
So there's a roadmap for each of the initiatives. That's what we're looking at, right? Just the shell of the roadmap that we're going to build out, correct?
Yeah. So we probably want to have different teams working on these different things, and we probably want to create some dependencies across the teams because I'd imagine a package combo is going to have some dependencies on batteries and inverters and panels, making sure that those things all kind of line up before we start marketing. And this might be a multi-meetup sort of a scenario. I'm not quite sure. We'll see how we go. And I just want to open up the chat here because what I really like is for you to shout out, all right, if you want to create an epic under a particular initiative or hey, let's set up a team or whatever it might be, right? So I'll just quickly whiz over the advanced roadmaps board again. So up on the top left, we've got a roadmap tab, and that's what we're looking at here at the moment. We haven't got any releases or dates for our epics or anything like that here yet. And we can click and drag and drop some in there. We've got a Teams tab, and Jira has kindly set up these 4 teams for me based on the 4 projects that I brought in. So I've got an LG Solutions team. They've got a velocity of 30 story points and a sprint length of 2 weeks. Then we've got a panels team, and they've got same 30 story points, 2 weeks. LG batteries team, same deal, right? 30 story points in 2 weeks across all of them. Now we can edit this team. If we wanted to, we can change the name. We can change the issue source. So we can say, well, instead of the solutions team being tied to the solutions project, we could pick a different one. We probably don't want to do that. And we can, now, in Portfolio for Jira, the plugin which preceded Advanced Roadmaps, we used to be able to create mock users. It doesn't look like we can do that anymore. So if I wanted to create a team of 10 hypothetical users and change their availability days per week and that sort of thing, you could do that, but it doesn't look like we can do that anymore. I suggest that's probably a marketing ploy from Atlassian. Just my hypothesis there. And the other tab is releases. So at the moment, we've only got one release covered here, which is COVID-19 cover blackout package, which started on the 1st of June and has a release date of the 30th of October. Not preempting anything sinister happening at the end of October there, but we can create some other releases in here too. And the other thing that we can do is create cross-project releases. So if we had, I don't know, a campaign where we're going to release a package, a solution package, then we could create a cross-project release and then have work under each project tied to that. So maybe let's do that. Let's say that we wanted to have a LG product, let's see, package product launch as a project. And we haven't got any releases that we want to do here, but maybe I'll go LG batteries. Yeah, I haven't got any releases there. So I'm going to create that cross product launch release, and I'm going to save my changes back into Jira. Hey, Anthony, how you going? You're muted, mate. That's all right.
Sorry, I pressed space bar to do it, but no. Don't worry. Ignore me and my
All good.
Ignacio,
All good.
how are you, man?
I'm well. I'm well, thanks, buddy.
I'm good. Kudzi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good. Nice guitar, by the way.
Thank you. It's what keeps us sane in lockdown during, these uncertain times, whatever that means.
I have a Les Paul myself.
I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Epiphone Les Paul, not a Gibson. Come on. Not
Oh, good stuff. The Gibsons are too heavy.
Yes, especially on price.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I think my sister had anyway, getting right off topic here, but my sister had a loose seal at one stage, I think it was, which is a really heavy thing, but sounded
That's
really
heavy.
nice.
That's
Yeah.
heavy.
The only thing that messes with the Les Paul is, I have to say it, the G string keeps going out of tune.
We might.
And it's a sentence I can say in perfect innocence and still, and yes, it's still hilarious.
Well, we'll park that one there, and I'll answer Danielle's question. So good question in the chat there. Can a team be assigned to more than one release? Yes, absolutely. So in Jira, projects are not like a Microsoft project, right? They don't have a start and finish date. A project is more akin to a team or a product. And so a project in Jira is intended to be long-lived, and a release is more like the concept of a project in Jira. And a release has a start and finish date and a scope, I guess, if you like, associated with that project. Having said that, a story can be, or task or initiative or epic, can be associated with 0 to many releases. So you could have, for example, we're just creating this LG package product launch release. We could have a story which is associated with that and is also associated with our cover blackout package. The same applies to teams. So we could have a range of teams associated with this cross-product package launch, and they are associated through the work that they're going to do. So that's the stories and the tasks that they're assigned to. So a story or a task can only have one assignee at a time, but the assignee can be updated and changed. So it could be that I did some work on a task and then Anthony might do the testing and I would reassign that story or task across to Anthony. So it's through the work that the teams are associated with a release. So a team is not explicitly assigned to a release, they're more assigned to the work itself, if that makes sense.
Has Jira taken account of things like pairing and, well, things like pair programming, mob programming, and some of those practices? Most teams work around it, and they just nominate somebody and just get on with their life. That said, being a tool that is so highly developed for these ways of working, have the smart people at Jira figured out how to help make that more visible?
So how can I put this diplomatically? No. So Jira always has a single assignee for any issue type. So whether that's an epic or initiative or a story or a task or even a subtask. I think their theory there, which kind of holds, is that somebody will always take the lead on something. So even if you got paired programming, there's somebody who's at the keyboard and somebody who's coaching them on or inputting. So there's probably a lot of conversation could happen over the who's right and who's wrong and all that sort of stuff. But the short answer is no, they haven't figured that out yet. You could probably get around it through custom fields. If you wanted to have a second field, which is for the who the pairee was when you paired programming and that sort of thing, but it's a workaround. Whereas I suspect other tools are probably more geared towards actually paired programming and that sort of stuff. Anthony, have you come across any tools that handle that well?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
No, I've look at the times on the occasions when that has come up, I've mainly focused on the people practice more than the tool, and just said, don't let the tool get in the way.
Yes, yeah, exactly right. Because quite often people will become a slave to the tool, and they won't question what the tool's doing, or won't feel free to develop a workaround even for it. So yeah, it's a really good point. All right, now I think in here I have to create a release across all the different projects. There might be an easier way to do this. In Portfolio for Jira, the plugin which preceded Advanced Roadmaps, you used to be able to create a cross-project release and it would automatically sync back across all the other projects. So it doesn't look like I can do that here. Looks like I have to go and choose the project and then choose the associated release if I wanted to. So let's just quickly create a release in each one. I'm just going to jump quickly between the tabs here. And I'm just going to keep these tabs open. So we've got our 4 LG projects. Wait a minute, I've got 5. Oh, I've got 5.
And these are in Jira, correct, Paul?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm just going to jump back here. So I've got LG panels, batteries, inverters, panels. Okay, that's why. So, okay, batteries, inverters, panels, and solutions. And I'll just create my version here. We're going to say our release was start on the 1st of September. It's going to happen at the end of October. I think that's what I said back in here.
Mm-hmm.
No, it didn't say the start and finish date. Okay. So from let's go with the, Now, this is it. You know, our conversation about date formats and stuff a couple of meetups ago, Ignacio. So here's another one. Now it's month, day, year in that format. Whereas elsewhere, it was year, month, day, month, year. They just like to keep us guessing, I guess. So we're going to go 1st of September till the 30th of October. That's what I had for that one. Yep. And final one, create another version here. 1st of September across to 30th of October. Okay. All right, so I've got those now. If I refresh my plan, and so now it's automatically picked up these other releases because they were named the same. Actually, sorry, it's seeing these as individual releases, one per project. Now, if I edit a cross-project release, which is LG package product launch, if I go batteries and choose product launch, I can add that release to the cross-project release. Inverters, panels, and solutions.
Paul, on the top left hand in the dialog box, you had the cross-release package. So that's created as an umbrella. Is that correct? This is where you then drive the changes across each of the child releases, for want of a better word. Is that? So I noticed that you went edit, and then you then there was a string in there that was common to all. That's the cross-project releases. So you have to create that as a plan header. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So there's a cross-project release in Portfolio. I think its main purpose really is just an overarching roadmap view. If you want to be able to roll up by that cross-project release. To me, this is a little bit clunky. It used to be better in the old plugin when it would go and create all those releases across all the projects for you rather than have to go and create them. Surely there's an easier way to do it, but it's not immediately evident to me. So I'm just going to go and save my changes back to Jira. So remember last time when we were looking at this, we were saying that the changes that we make in Portfolio, it's all in the same database, but it must be in a separate caching table effectively, and you have to write those changes back to Jira. So you can make changes and you can roll things back if you want to, and it's not immediately reflected in Jira until you do that sync.
Portfolio always used to be a separate cache table, even when it was under old Jira.
And I think it's the same thing now, but it's when you go and make those changes, it'll actually write it back to Jira. Yeah, good point. Okay, so we've got our 4 projects here, and we're looking at initiatives. So we just had a quick look at our tabs on the top left-hand side and our hierarchy. We can choose what level we want to look at our work at, right? So if we choose initiative to subtask, then that means that we can expand something out. So we've got initiative, and then we've got epics. Remember last week we were talking about being able to create our own hierarchy. So I've got initiatives as a parent of epics, and then I've got some stories in beneath here. If I wanted to go and create a subtask under a story, test discharging to grid, so I'm going to book. Oops, and my keyboard is playing up on me. Bear with me a second. I'll change some USB receivers over here.
I think you're typing fixed keyboard.
That's right. Sorry, just bear with me a minute. I had a setup here that was working really well for a while. I had one USB hub where I could just swap between my work laptop and my Surface, and all of a sudden it stopped working. So not sure what's going on there. All right, we're going to book out Sparky. So we've got a subtask here. So when we're looking at our hierarchy of initiative through subtask, we can see the entire tree. Now, if I change that and I say I only want to see initiatives down to epics, then it'll just trim that. But the data still exists, of course. Okay, so we can go from epics if we want to, and it just simplifies our view a little bit. And we could even go down to the story level if we wanted to. And at that level, remember when we were talking about the hierarchy last time, we've got initiatives, epics, and then we've got stories and tasks, bugs and whatever else. They all sit at that same level. And then we've got the subtask level beneath that. When we talk about in the issue hierarchy, stories or subtasks, for example, they're really just defining the different levels of the hierarchy. So for subtasks, you could have a testing subtask, you could have a task subtask, just to be confusing, or bug subtask, or whatever you want to have. And at that story level, you can have stories, tasks. You could also have at that level defects, bugs, risks, issues, all that sort of stuff at that level. So out of the box, Jira has 3 levels: epics, stories, and then subtasks. And when we've got the advanced roadmaps, we can also create initiatives or whatever level of hierarchy we want there. But just don't go too nuts on it. Probably the 4 levels, adding 1 more above epics is usually enough. Okay, so what else have we got on the screen here? So we've got stories to subtasks. If I change that back, we can see a range of different filters. So we can either look for a particular, I think, subset. So if we want to search by string, then it will refine our backlog just to be, refine our roadmap just to show what we're searching for there. Clear all those filters. We could search for particular releases if we want to. Now we've got our cross-project release, and we've also got our individual project releases. So if I tick one of these sub-releases, so LG package product launch for LG batteries, then if I had any work related to it that was associated with that release, then that would show up on the list. If I say cross-project release, again, I've created the release, but I haven't associated any work with that release, and that's why that's not appearing there. What else have we got? Teams. So if I wanted to just see the batteries team, again, I haven't associated any work yet, but you can filter that way. Assignees, sprints, projects. So we can say, let's see everything from batteries, and also inverters, for example, and panels. You can build up your query that way. Particular issue types, if I just wanted to see subtasks only, then I could filter by that. Components, if we'd set some components, we could do that. And labels, dependencies, that one's interesting. So it's different to portfolio. So if I've got tasks that have dependencies between, then I can filter and just see that. Statuses and warnings, that would be if there's anything where I'm over capacity. That's pretty cool, actually. This is different to portfolio for Jira, I think. So if we just want to see the problem children, then we can have them show up, which is pretty cool. Okay, so what else have we got on the board? So our fit, so we can see either sort of a quarterly view, a whole 12-month view. We can fit to our timelines that we had set, or we can specify the date range that we wanted to see, either by fixed start and finish dates, or our relative period, so months in the past, 2 months in the future, sort of thing. Let's just go back to fit. The other things that we've got here under view settings, now this is where I'm just starting to play with things myself that I haven't explored greatly. You can group by assignee if we wanted to, so we can see the work by the assignee. And okay, components if I had set any, but I haven't got any set there. Same for labels, projects. So if I want to see the work by batteries, inverters, panels, solutions, then I could do it that way. And my mouse is just starting to lag a little bit. I need more USB ports. Project by release if we wanted to. So we've got some work that's associated with our COVID-19 cover blackout package. And we've just got initiatives associated here. Unassigned, sorry. These are all the items that are not yet assigned to release. Beg your pardon. I'm letting my mouse distract me. and sprints if we had work associated with a sprint. So at the moment we don't have any initiatives associated with a sprint, neither epics, of course, but stories. It's interesting. Thought some of this was associated with a sprint. I'll have a look in the boards in a minute. And we can also group by teams if you wanted to. So we've got some work associated with this LGS team so far. Sorry, Ignacio, I just saw your comment then. What about under LGB2 prototype battery? We have a user story called design battery. Awesome. So we can either do that. I'm just going to go back into backlog view here for each project. Battery. So we can either create in here. So prototype battery. Now, if we wanted to. Okay. All right, so if we had a story under here, so we're in LG, not LG solutions, we're going to create it under LG batteries. And it's going to be called design battery. Yep, nice. And okay. Design battery, and perhaps we'll drag that across to our release. Actually, all of these LG package product launch, we might associate all of those with that release too. And our initiative, I probably don't really want initiatives to appear in my board. So I'm going to go and modify my filter. And the reason for that is we wouldn't really want to put an initiative itself into a sprint. So I'm going to go and edit my filter. So remember from previous very early meetups how we were talking through, actually we never actually got to board settings. We went through project settings, but we've never done board settings. Okay, so a board is driven by data from a filter. And if we go into board settings, which is up on the top right-hand side here, under the first tab, general and filter, we can see down under the filter section, it's saying what filter we're going to use for pulling data through to this board. And if I'm the owner of the filter, then I can edit and save the filter. If I wasn't, I would still see this edit filter query link, but I wouldn't be able to save the filter. I'd be able to do a save as, and then change the filter the board's using, but that's a bit of a stumbling block. Quite often, especially if somebody leaves an organization, you'll need an administrator to change the owner of a filter so that you can go back in and be free to modify the filter. So this one here.
So I've got a question, because I run into that a few times as a bit of a constraint on being able to take immediate necessary action, right? And that is, we still don't have the ability to add multiple, you know, super user owners to filters.
Yeah, and I see that as a massive stumbling block. And just like you were saying about the limit on a single user, it's the same thing here. And I think this is a major stumbling block. So if we go into system settings,
if you could just add a group, that would be a great placeholder. That would be simple. That would simplify things a lot.
Yeah.
But it will be the simplest step, saying you can use a group instead of a single user.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So here I can change the owner, but it can only be a specific person. You're absolutely right. If you could make a group, so administrators, for example, the owner of, or even a project, anybody who has access to a project, if they could be the owner of a filter, that'd make this so much easier. Yeah, absolutely agree, Anthony. Yeah, I'll see that as a massive problem. Okay, so if any Atlassian people are watching, that's a suggestion. Okay, so filter for LG batteries board. So here we wanted to exclude not oops, I can type properly in, and I can't blame my keyboard there, that's my fingers. Initiative. All right, so we wanted to exclude initiatives from our board. And now, oh, that's funny. I must have been logged in as somebody else when I created this filter. So
Ignacio, notice that that the query still ends with order by rank ascending. If you don't put order by rank ascending as the order by clause at the end, then you can't use the filter as the basis for a Scrum board.
Right.
Really good point.
It's critical, because you screw that up, yeah, there's no more Scrum for you. It's Kanban only.
Okay.
Oops, oh, what am I doing? Thanks, Anthony, that's really good. So filter for LG, oops, LG batteries board 2. And so if I go to that filter for LG batteries board, filter for LG batteries board, changing owner. So it's me, but it's not me. It's another Paul Casanova. So obviously I've had a few user IDs in different accounts and things at different times. So when I created this board, I was logged in as a different user, even though it says Paul Casanova. And so that's why I've had to go and replicate this filter now. And I'll need to change the filter on my backlog.
Do I detect a bit of self-imposed identity theft?
You are right, sir. Absolutely. The other thing that I could do would be to change the owner here from Paul Casanova to Paul Casanova. So instead of the green one, I'm going to change it to the red one here. All right. So then if I did it that way, and then I could go back to
The original filter.
my original filter, and I could save it. So if I just reload this now, I should be able to change it, and issue type not in initiative. What about rank? Now I have the save button, right?
Voila.
Okay, that was very long-winded, but anyway, we got there. Okay, so now I should see this initiative disappear from my backlog. Now, what would happen if I took away this order by rank ascending? Let's see. I'm going to save that filter. I haven't tried this out before, Anthony, so I thought I'd just see what happens. Can I start a sprint? Yes, I can start a sprint, I think.
You've created the board already. What if you created a new board on the filter?
There it is.
Yeah, okay.
There's your Kanban board.
Well, this is, it's a Scrum board, but you're seeing the Kanban view.
Oh, sorry, Kanban view. I beg your pardon.
No, no, it's all right. So if I go and create a new Scrum board from an existing filter, and I'm going to call this LG batteries board 2, and my filter is going to be filter for LG batteries board. That one. So can I? Okay, they might have fixed it, Anthony.
Wow, this is new. No, it never used to work.
That's good. They're listening to people. That's good. There we go. Ranking is, now this is really weird. Ranking is disabled. So let's see, if I go back to my backlog, I know we're deviating a little bit from our advanced roadmaps, so this is really interesting. So, okay, so I'm going to change my scope. That's why I'm getting that warning. Now, if I send that to, yep, see, there's no option to send to the bottom of the backlog. All I can do, the only thing that comes up is the ability to add it to a sprint. Ranking's disabled. Yep. Really good tip, Anthony. That's really good. So if I go back in here, order by rank ascending, and now I save it again. And I refresh
So
my
everyone's
board.
just getting a view of the internal plumbing of how to break it. More importantly, what to watch to not break it.
Yes, yeah, that's right. And there's a lot of gotchas with that sort of stuff, so that's really good. I suspect that if I had have tried this with the other board, Anthony, I don't think I would have had to create the board to see the issue. Yeah, I think I would have broken an existing board. So, okay, board. Go to backlog. All right. Awesome. Okay, thank you. So, Ignacio, Scrum, Kanban, Scrumban. Can you share with us? Can you share with us the Scrum board but Kanban view? Okay. Yep. No worries. So, when people talk about Scrum board, Kanban board, task board, etc., it all just means the same thing. It means a board view where you have a series of columns and you can move work in between to visualize the work. So Scrum board, task board, Kanban board, they're all the same thing. Quite often it's just referred to as a Kanban board though, because Anthony, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Kanban means to visualize work, essentially.
That's correct. Kanban is board, but what I was trying to get at, Paul, that the concept of Scrum, the notions, the practices of Scrum versus Kanban, in my mind, and I could be wrong here, is Scrum has a cadence, is driven by a sprint. There's a finite period. Kanban is driven by, hey, we will agree on our capacity to work on things, and we pull things down, and then we work on them until they're done, and we don't allow anything in the engine room, if you like, or the conveyor belt until we say so. With Scrum, I guess.
Can I pop up here, please?
Yeah, go
on. So Jira's job is to support your practice, not to define your practice. Lots of teams will adopt Scrum and layer Kanban on top.
Okay.
Other teams will adopt Kanban and then adopt some of the Scrum practices because they find they add to their delivery. Depends, right? So what we're looking here is just the way that the Jira processes and visualizes work for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
got
really
it.
good point.
Thank you.
So that's a really good point. That I know this is a Jira and Confluence meetup, not Scrum and Kanban and everything, but it's a really important discussion because that's primarily, our framework that Anthony was talking to. That's primarily the reason that Jira and Confluence is so popular today. So Scrum and Kanban, to an extent, are not mutually exclusive. So you can, like Anthony said, you can run Scrum and you can implement a WIP limit, so working process limit, and there are other facets of Kanban that you can apply to. So even just lean thinking and looking for efficiencies in your process and all the rest of it. And the same, if you're running Kanban, then a lot of people do have retros that they bring in and all the rest of it. Very good, Ignacio. Scrum versus Kanban, and it's I'm sure there's many books and debates and all sorts of things, probably meetups specifically on that topic. So yeah, really good.
Those types of conversations usually leave me a little disappointed.
Yeah, that's right. There's it's either sort of a for or against type view with a lot of those. It's not a world of harmony that a lot of people sort of live in there. Either one camp or the other, like Ford versus Holden or something.
Yeah. But if you come back to the purpose of what Jira is trying to solve, So Jira Scrum boards will solve a Scrum related problem. So they'll allow you to manage your backlog. They'll allow you to define what's in your sprint. They'll allow you to track burn down charts. They'll allow you to track. They'll show you a task board. They'll show you those things. If you tell Jira that you want to work Kanban, some of those things around sprint containers and the metrics that automatically come out of the box with Jira with those won't apply. So because they're not relevant, right? So those are the things that will matter. But then things like cumulative flow will. So again, it's about understanding what you want to do, and Jira will help you do it. So again, there's a bunch of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. Thanks, Anthony. All right. So we went off on a tangent here. Why did I do that?
I threw a spanner in the works. That's why. Sorry.
No, it's all right. And then I got distracted by my keyboard and mouse and everything else.
Roadmaps.
Yeah. So roadmaps, and Ignacio said, hey, what about if we have a user story called design battery? So there it is. And it's in our sprint in LG sprint 1. So if I just add in a couple more things here and move them up. Yes. And this sprint's already running. Okay, and we've got an active sprint view. Cool. So let's just move a couple of these in progress. And I've got story points on these ones. That was bad practice. I should have assigned some story points. What do you reckon? 13, Ignacio, for our designing battery? Yep. Cool. And ingenious new battery initiative. Hang on, that's weird. How did that get back in there? Take that out of my sprint. And my filter. That was why I came in here. I was going to get rid of the initiative. So edit my. Oh, okay. It was a different board where I was looking at taking the initiative out. Sorry, I've completely confused myself now. I'm just going to go back to the advanced roadmaps. Okay. Batteries, inverters, panels, and solutions. Cool. And right. So view settings. So we're back in the advanced roadmap now, and we were looking before about what we can group our work by. So under our batteries board, we've got, what do we got? A sprint that's running. And we've got some things in the backlog. We've got our design battery and build battery that's in there. Inverters, we haven't got anything in here yet. And I haven't changed my filter. That's why our initiative is still showing in there. Our panels board, we've got nothing in there yet. And our solutions board, we've got a sprint, which is running. So there's no start sprint button up here. That's how I can tell that this sprint's running. And I can also see, if I go into active sprints, I can see that view there as well. And, okay, and nothing much in the backlog there. With our active sprints, so this at the moment is grouped by epic as well. So that's why we can see 25-year warranty, and we can see all the work that relates to that epic, etc. I think we might have spoken in a previous meetup about the fact that we can change our swim lanes to be by other things. So I'm just going to sidetrack here for a second and do that too. So we can base our swim lanes on epics. We can base them on stories. So if I had subtasks, let's see what that looks like. And I haven't under this one. But if I had subtasks underneath these, then I would see the parent tasks sit there, and the subtasks themselves can move across the board. I can set them by assignees. So if I had multiple assignees here, then there would be a swim lane per assignee. If I had a board that pulled in data from multiple projects, then I could have my swim lanes per project if I wanted to do that. I can have no swim lanes at all, or I can also have it based on queries. And I think at one stage we talked about having a now we talked about coloring cards based on the due date, didn't we? But you can also do the same sort of thing for our swim lanes. And so we've got one that's due in less than 30 days. So it's in the top swim lane and all the rest of the things here. And so you can use any sort of query. Remember we were talking about JQL in previous meetups. So you can write any JQL and create your swim lanes based upon that. All right, so that's a bit of a sidetrack. Any other questions so far?
Just a query, Paul, on when you're actually making selections on the filter, I noticed, and I just wanted to validate this, Jira works with the complement of items, right? So that if there are 6, whenever you pick one, only 5 remain as a complement. So that when you change, so if you change it from tasks to user stories, tasks wouldn't appear in your selection list because it's being used. Is that correct? Because I noticed that you got, when you were doing those, the filtering to see whether it was query stories. So if you went to stories,
yep,
and you displayed that, and then you went back to change it, stories wouldn't appear because that's the focus that is being applied in the filter. Is that correct? Do you follow what I'm saying?
Kind of. So if I choose stories here and then I go back to my board, is that what you're talking about, or the options under that drop down?
Well, at the moment, these are filtered out in the to-do column. They are tasks, correct? Blue square with a white tick is a task. Yeah, it's not a story. The stories is a green square with a little white chevron.
Remember our conversation about the hierarchy. So I've created initiatives, which sits above epics, and then we've got epics, and then stories, which also includes tasks.
Okay.
So it's at the same level. Really, when you do JQL, you can search for standard issue types. They really should, if stories is going to include tasks and defects and everything else at that level, they should find another way of describing it rather than stories, because it's a bit misleading, especially since you can have subtasks and you can create whatever sort of issue type you want in there.
Okay.
Let me just demonstrate though, if I had some subtasks underneath these. So I've just picked randomly LGS 8 and LGS 7. And if I create some subtasks underneath those, and I'll just call that subtask 1, and subtask 2. All right, and over here, I'm going to create some subtask 1, subtask 2. Now, these ones, you can see that it's given itself a key, and even though the summary name is the same, of course, it sits under a different parent. So here is LGS 17, that's the subtask that I've just created, and its parent is LGS 7, where of course, if I go into subtask 2 over here, this is LGS 15, same name, and its parent is LGS 8.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So even though I use the same name for a task, which is, I shouldn't because it's confusing, it'll differentiate that way. So now if I refresh my board, my swim lanes look a little bit different. So I've got LGS 8, which is an overall task, and it has a subtask 1, subtask 2, and LGS 7. So we can see that it's set up one swim lane for LGS 8 because it's got subtasks, another swim lane for LGS 7 because it also has subtasks, and then everything else that doesn't have a subtask sits beneath here. And LGS 7 and 8, I'll search for LGS 7. Okay, so they only appear on there once. So I can no longer drag and drop LGS 7 and 8. I can drag and drop its subtasks.
Okay.
But not that overarching one. Okay, and then I get this prompt. All subtasks of parent LGS 7 are now done. Do you want to update this parent issue to match? So if I say yes, then it closes it off that way. So that's just something else to be mindful of as well, that it changes. If your swim lanes are based on story or task, then it changes the functionality of the active sprint board.
And so when you actually then filter the columns to display, well, epic, then you would just have swim lanes that have at an epic level, correct?
Yeah, so let's try that out. So now I've got...
okay, you got the issues, or the tasks, sorry, under each of the the epics, 25-year warranty epic and business case warranty epic.
Yeah, business case, and this is the other one, package deal marketing material.
Yep.
Or materia. And so now that I've changed my view, yes, I could put that story itself back in, and it changes the view here. So the task, which is LGS 7, it's in progress and its subtasks are done, but you can see that the subtasks are sort of tagged with that parent LGS 7. So if I move one of those back to do, then it will label these subtasks as to show you what the parent is. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right, no worries. Okay, so maybe so I'm just mindful we've only got a few minutes left now. So sorry that I've sort of gone off track with away from advanced roadmaps during this conversation, but I think a lot of the things that we've talked about are really really important. And our conversations in these meetups more recently have sort of been focused on stitching things together. So it's not just going through individual bits of Jira in isolation. It's now looking at how does this whole thing fit together and how do we work with it? So I think that's really important conversation.
One last question, Paul.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So Teams seems to be a new, a newer part to roadmaps. Where's the field pulled from, or is it a new field that's been added to the bowels of Jira?
Yeah, it'll be a custom field, I suspect. So let's just quickly play with that now. So if I look at, let's see, let's add in.
Yeah.
If I add in team in here, so we can see we've got LG solutions. So if I go to one of these stories, so LGB6, I doubt that I'm going to be able to see team on here straight away. All right, so under project settings, remember ages ago, guys, we were talking about screens and all that design and that sort of stuff. So under the LG batteries project, this is a really good point, Anthony. So there's a custom field now in Jira called Teams, and I want to be able to show it on this screen, right? So that when I'm looking in the Jira view of a story, I can see what team that belongs to. So I've just jumped into, I've opened in a new tab, my project settings, because I want to know what screen I'm using. Now in project settings, I can go down to screens. So for LG batteries, and I can see that I am using, for stories, the JHT Scrum default screen scheme. And if I expand that out, then I've got this screen here. It's kind of a lengthy way to get to it, but I've got JHT Scrum default issue screen. So if I open that up in a new field, here's all the fields that I've got on that screen at the moment. And if I click on my drop down here and I start typing team, then here's team. I'm going to move that up towards just under summary. And so I don't need to save this because when I configure a screen in this view, it's automatically written. So now if I refresh LGB6, and it's a bit of a clunky process. So we say, all right, where's team? There it is. Straight under sprint, and I've got plan specific team up here. Now, if I wanted to change the name of that team, so
you have to fix the edit field in the, not just the create field, but the edit as well, I think.
Oh, screens.
Yeah.
I think I'm using the same screen, default issue screen scheme.
Okay. I'll shut up. Yep. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm just wondering why it was calling it a LG, where are we? Plan specific team. Okay, so that was not terribly helpful, is it? So this is in LG batteries, plan specific team. Plan specific teams can only be selected through a team. Okay. All right.
Through a plan. Okay.
Yeah. I was thinking
that'd be. So does that goes back to roadmap. So I must pull them from the list that you. If we go back to the roadmap and go list teams, what's in.
So here's the teams here. So for LG batteries, I've got this team here. LG batteries team. Right. Edit that. and we'll just make it our batteries team. Save it. Apply my changes. I wonder if it's going to change the name in here. Nope. Still got plan specific team. That'll be.
I've opened up a can of worms, but it's important because in the once upon a time I used tempo teams in a very old version of Jira to achieve a similar outcome to enable a large portfolio of work to succeed. And the new Jira on the new cloud Jira doesn't seem to replicate the same level of functionality. And I saw something coming back here that seemed to appear to be different. And I thought, this is awesome. So if we can get to the bottom of this would be huge, because this would show me how the problem I solved last time would be solved under the new model with minimal effort.
Yeah, this is a bit disappointing, because I would have liked to have seen the actual team name here and been able to use that across elsewhere in Jira. So in our backlog, for example, I would like to be able to configure. So if I go to my backlog for batteries, and I know we're at time now, so I'll wrap up in a second. But if I wanted to see teams, let's see, in our backlog, I'm going to get rid of due date for a second. I'm going to add in team. Add that in. Now in batteries. All I get is plan specific team. I'd really like to be able to see, yeah, that's the batteries team showing in there. So that value is a bit, unless I'm missing something, it's not terribly helpful.
It's opaque at the moment. We're not sure where it comes from or where it's going to.
Or what its greater purpose is beyond plans. And it would be great to be able to see it being useful throughout the rest of Jira. Yeah, all right. So we might have to wrap it up there. Let's get this conversation going on Slack. I think it'd be great to keep going with these queries, start fleshing out some of this sort of stuff. And Anthony, if you can share your experience around teams in a bit more detail in the Slack channel, let's get that conversation going. And between now and the next meetup, what about if we build up some scenarios around this work here? Now, I know that this is in my Integrity Works instance, because we've got Jira Premium here that we're looking at for advanced roadmaps. Maybe what I can do is replicate these projects in the free versions of Jira that you guys have got access to. And then, so between now and next week, we can sort of build up some stories and epics and whatever, and then see how that all fits in together in the advanced roadmaps in the next meetup, if that's what you'd like to do. Otherwise, by popular vote, I'm happy to look at any other aspects of Jira next week. If you want to.
I'm really interested in trying to stitch together where this team stuff, where the dots connect and where they go from, where they go to, and how it works. Because if I can land that, I think I'll have nailed something important.
Yeah, no worries. Are you happy to do a bit of homework on that, Anthony?
I am happy to do homework. Yeah, it's not all you, man. But I don't think I'll be, because of the advanced roadmaps feature, I don't think I'll be able to do it on the free version.
Yeah, no stress. If you can do a bit of digging around and share it in the Slack channel, then I'll replicate or make some changes in here, and then I can put screenshots and whatever back into the Slack channel. Yeah.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay.
Ignacio, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, Paul. I'm in favour of continuing this in the Slack channel, and also looking to submit some candidate user stories, because I wrote a couple of things, and happy to carry that through to the next session.
Awesome. No worries.
Thank you again, Paul.
No worries. Thanks, Kudzi. Thanks, Jaya. Thanks,
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye for now.